Is your family business worth inheriting? Stand by. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of Note School TV, where, as you know, every Wednesday we go live at 11:05 Central Time. We have some amazing guests today, and we'll bring those on in just a few minutes. But before we do, want to make sure that you like what you see here every week. So just press that like button, get in there and subscribe to our Note School TV channel as well. And again, also hit that bell notification so that you will be notified every week as we go live. So also, we want to invite you to just go ahead and hit us up today, right? We get a lot of comments from you guys every week, a lot of questions. And so, guys, make sure that you connect with us. And to do that, simply go to noteschool.com/TV. We'll get back with you via email. If we need to call you, we'll do that as well. And you'll also learn a little more about our sponsor and how to go to one of Note School's one-day classes, right? Every one of you need to do that. So, again, like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification, and just go to noteschool.com/TV. And now, guys, we have the news. So, as we have been reporting, well, for the last year or so, guys, did you know that real estate is on fire, right? So the big question this week, is there a housing bubble on the horizon? Well, according to Redfin, 77% of home buyers and home sellers say there is a bubble where they live, right? And so a bubble is basically when the prices get so high in an area that, they just burst, just like any bubble would. So according to the chief economist over at Adams Solutions, they're just basically saying that, we're just going through one of those cycles where it's kind of the perfect storm where we've got low inventory and rates are still basically affordable. More on that as that unfolds over the next, as a few coming months. But yeah, we really don't have a bubble, but I think it's not about the numbers. I think it's really, for most people, the way they feel, right? So we'll play this out over the next few months. And then institutional investors reach a 7-year high in home purchases. So in 2021, almost 7%, 6.9%, 1 in 14 buyers were institutions, right? Buying up houses there. And 30.3% of the houses that were sold in 2021 were purchased with cash, and that's up from 22% in 2013. So, guys, and by the way, that was when real estate was truly on sale following the Great Recession. So if you want to look at some of Adams' year-end 2021 price increases, and the biggest of those, well, the top 5 are Salisbury, Maryland at 267.2%, Lafayette, Louisiana, 227.4%, Montgomery, followed by Mobile, and finally Augusta, Georgia. Guys, that is, that's a bunch of profit, isn't it? So, or a bunch of percentage. So, guys, thanks so much. That is the news for this week. And I am going to introduce Note School's founder and, well, chief visionary, Mr. Eddie Speed. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Joe. How are you, sir?
You know what? I am doing great. It is a beautiful day and just raring to go here.
Awesome. Great news gig there. And yes, sir, we are watching that. on let's call it a daily basis, right?
Yes.
And our guest today, Joe, we're going to have a fun time, and I'm going to bring you back before they leave, and because you and I have mutually had some fun with them.
Yes.
And so I'm going to introduce them and get this party started. Let's do that.
Sounds good. I'll see you guys in a few.
All right. Thanks. Okay. Our guest today is a story very similar to how my story started out. I started out as a very young man, 20 years old, with a guy that was not my father-in-law yet. Right. I was dating his daughter, but we were not married. So that is how I got started. My father-in-law introduced me to the business. And today I'm going to introduce a father-in-law, son-in-law team. And he is definitely a son-in-law. And that is Mr. Jay Redding and Kyle Cassidy.
Hi, Eddie.
Hey, guys. How are you?
Good morning. Doing well.
Well, maybe somewhat inspired, Jay, by my story. And but it always starts out when you got a good son-in-law. And by the way, as you know well, Jay, my son-in-law Matt works with us in the business and has for almost a decade. So I just say it's a good family business.
It is. It is.
Joe's opener in saying, "Is your family business worth inheriting?" A lot to be said for that, right?
Yes.
So let's go back a little bit. Kyle, before you got involved in the business and when Jay was out there, Jay, you were grinding, right? That's what I like to call it. Flipping houses and handling rentals.
Yep.
All of a sudden there becomes this note training company comes to town, so to speak. And you come see us. And I remember very well, you're coming seeing us at a live event. And that was in Indianapolis, probably.
That is correct. That's right.
What switch in your head did this? What caused that?
Excuse me. Actually, a couple of things. Kyle had already come on before I had come to see notes. Kyle had already come on board, and we had been talking back and forth. All right, as I'm getting older and I'm looking to move out of the business, what direction does he want to go? And we've talked a number of different things, and he brought up notes. And I said, okay, I know nothing about notes. Okay. And he had done some research. He thought that, it's something that fits his personality, his style, and what he does. For some reason, he doesn't think he wants to manage rentals for the rest of his life.
Not particularly, no.
So that's what essentially started it. So we did our research. We kind of looked at who's in the note space, who's talking. We actually followed you a little bit before we decided to come to an event, and honestly felt like you had the most experience and the most to offer. Is the bottom line. Yeah. To everybody we're looking at, and just your years of experience, I have been a strong believer in my entire investing life. Whatever niche that I'm going into or what we've decided to go into, get around the very best people and learn from them.
Yep.
And willing to pay to go and do that, and have done that throughout our career. So that's how we kind of got to Indianapolis.
Yeah, and it was great because I couldn't make it to that meeting. And when Jay came back, he said, well, I liked it, and I signed us up for Titanium. And I was like, okay, I guess we're
going nuts.
So I guess we're going that direction. So I was happy.
So that's interesting, Kyle. A lot of times the older person picks notes because of the lifestyle. I always say the grayer your hair gets, the more you want to end up in the paper business, and the less you want to end up in the property management business. Right. It's very interesting, though, that you're the young guy here, right? You're the guy but you saw this as a lifestyle thing. And I want to talk about that because there's a lot of people that listen to this show that, let's be honest, right? Kyle, real estate's on fire, right? You can't make a mistake right now, so to speak, right?
That's right.
So what caused you to sort of take the contrarian position and say, I'd rather be the bank?
Sure. So I was sitting and just doing normal property management stuff, taking toilet calls and trying to make people pay their rent that they don't want to pay. And I was like, there's got to be more to real estate than just this for a while. And you know, we had read some stuff from your good friend Donna Bauer, and went to one of her conferences, and that's where we started reading a little bit, and we kind of understood it, but we really hadn't dived in to it fully. And then I read that it's much more passive mailbox money, and I was like, okay, I like that. For me, my priority is my family, and so the more time I can spend with my family, the better. And I think notes fits perfectly for that.
That's great. That was, I believe that is 100% the case. I had a business partner the first few years in the business, and then we brought on another partner, and we actually owned an office building together, bought a bargain deal, a defaulted note. We bought an office building out the RTC days, Jay, for $50,000. It was 24,000 square feet.
Wow.
Now, understand, it was not built out, and you could throw a cow through the roof, right? So
Okay.
it needed a little work, but it was 24,000 square feet. And we ended up, a friend of mine that came in, and my partner for 15 years, solely for life choice reasons, he now has run he's the business manager for a pretty large religious organization, like 150 employees. So he takes his business skill and helps them with that, but he still invests on the side. We own a lot of assets together, as does he and this other guy. And I was talking to one of them yesterday, and it was the same thing. I mean, they had both had rentals. They both had all this stuff. I tell people, Kyle, I can own 1,000 notes easier than you can own 100 rentals. Do you believe that's true?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Our sponsor is Note School, and Note School specifically, the one-day class that we have, which is how a lot of people just come learn what's possible, right? Yep. And it's a low threshold just to kind of get a sense of what are the possibilities here. When we come back, we're going to dive off into a story on the other side of the business where you guys bought a killer deal on a loan that wasn't paying. And it didn't have to be a long-term investment. It turned out to be a very profitable short-term investment. We'll talk about that when we come back.
Well, hello, everyone. It is Brian with the teaching team here at Note School, and I'm excited that I get to be the one to invite you to the upcoming Gold in Notes class. That's right. It is a one-day deeper dive class that we call Gold in Notes because of how valuable this time spent is. This is a full day that we really get to dig into the nitty-gritty, the whole world of creative financing, not just how to acquire more deals, how to get access to more capital, how to defer a lot of the taxes for us as well as for the sellers that we're talking to, and really learn how to create your own notes. And really, once you learn how to create your own notes, this is really where we spend an entire afternoon really pulling back the curtain on what the note business is, from wholesaling notes, buying and holding performing notes to really build your wealth. I'll even show you a strategy called partials, which is by far the best wealth building tool I've ever seen in the real estate space. And we're definitely going to spend some time talking about non-performing notes, which is by far the biggest opportunity in today's marketplace, solely because of the events that have happened over the past couple of years. This is when people are not paying their mortgages, and we're going to make a lot of big money from these bad debts, and we're going to help a lot of people get a second chance. It's an absolutely fantastic day. Come spend a day really dig in and discover a lot of this stuff so that you too can start building your wealth. It's a day meant to really be engaging. Bring your questions, bring your comments, bring your business problems, and we will see you there.
All right. Well, welcome back. We have a father-in-law, son-in-law team, which that's how I started with my father-in-law. And I now am the father-in-law for my son-in-law in the business. So it's fairly ironic, but Mr. Jay Redding, Kyle Cassidy, Kyle, you're the son-in-law, but yet you are the ones that became intrigued by this. And you just heard in the commercial, right? The new thing on the market. Now we've taught this a lot. I worked with my father-in-law buying non-performing notes and started in around 1986. So the market blew up here in Texas and the Southwest, ultimately to the point the government had to form an entity just to sell these loans called the Resolution Trust Corporation. So Kyle, it makes me a little bit of an oldie, right?
That's right.
But have done that in many cycles. And, my team here at Note School, when we started seeing all these loans that weren't paying and knew that there were 500,000 loans that weren't paying even before the virus started.
Mm-hmm.
And this thing cycled for a while. So Jay, you guys you do a good job of staying hooked with us, seeing the next horizon. And all of a sudden you started hearing me really tout this, that this is coming. It's going to happen. It's going to be. And obviously, and Jay, I use in training, Brian and Joe and I will use a case study because you guys actually won a competition last year for a great case study on non-performing notes. So I want to talk about this because there's a couple of things I want you to describe to us. First of all, you bought a note on a really nice house.
Mm-hmm.
You bought the note at way below the value of the house. Now you knew you probably weren't going to get the house. It was
correct.
The payoff of the loan was this, and the house is worth this. So there was a lot of equity above it, but you just sort of bought a position in the deal, so to speak, right?
That is very correct.
So kind of summarize that. What did that look like?
Okay. We actually, on this particular note, we had the opportunity to really see how far it was in the foreclosure process. And because we really didn't know when we came across that. And it was actually local to us, which even made it nicer. But the note had actually been foreclosed upon, but it had not been taken to sheriff's sale. And it had gone to sheriff's sale twice, but they canceled right at the last minute. Okay, I don't know why. It still boggles my mind. But we were able, the collectible balance on this at the time when we purchased this, it was somewhere in the low 70s, and we negotiated and was able to pick it up in the low 50s. Okay, so we got our spread right from the very get-go, and our plan is like, okay, this could be a really easy in and out deal. In 60 days, because all we got to do is take it to sheriff's sale. Well, a few days after we closed on the deal, all the courts shut down. So obviously it took longer than what we anticipated, but we still we looked at the property, and it was a great property. I mean, we knew that it would sell at the sheriff's sale, and if not, we could certainly. It was in great condition. We could fix it up and either just sell it retail or sell it on as a seller finance type of deal. So we had multiple exit strategies on it.
That's right.
All right, so I want to go back a little bit because you got to remember we're watching this show today, and the courts are not stopping these sales.
Not now.
Okay,
right.
But when you bought this, you bought it knowing you had about a $30,000 spread. Am I right? Because
25. It was 25. Yeah, it was 25.
And because you had ended up with 57.5 in it, all in, and you ended up with a payoff of about 85.5.
Correct.
Right? Is that math correct?
It's pretty close in that ballpark.
So with that being said, this was when it was not quite so easy to take it, but you bought a deal that was already down the road in the foreclosure process. And people say, well, there's no way a bank or an investment company would do this. And we keep saying,
yes,
don't understand.
This
is
yes, they do.
This is the industry standard. It is what they do, right?
Yeah.
And so today it probably would have literally been about a 60-day thing.
Right.
So I'm just doing some math in my head. If I bought a certificate of deposit at the bank for 57.5, and within a year that CD matured and I got 85,000, what's the yield on my investment, Jay?
Pretty good.
I'd say enough.
As you say, enough.
I want to talk about one of the things that I tell people is in this cycle of non-performing, and I've taught this now for a long time, right? A long time. Taught thousands of people how to do it after 2008. But then after 2008, almost every time you were going to have to get the property back, you were going to have code enforcement, you were going to have to deal with property management, you were trying to sell a property in a down market. All of these things took a lot of work. Today, most of these loans are equitable. Your property was worth 150. Your payoff was 85. There's no way you're going to end up with it at the courthouse steps.
No,
Right?
not at all.
You knew that. You
Yep.
may have planned that you could seller finance it and made all these dreamy ideas, but the truth of the matter is there was too much juice in that deal. And about 75% of the deals we see today are like this. They're equitable delinquent notes. I've never bought notes in a on fire market before. Right? But I also say, Jay, that there's about 30 to 40% of the work needed today to buy non-performing notes compared to 100% of the work that was needed after 2008.
Mhm.
I want to talk about that. Like, what was the foreclosure management process and how time consuming was it?
Well, quite honestly, since it was local to us and we still have rentals, we have our own crews and everything. We were the property management, we were the property preservation company, and
So
the
it was
servicer.
vacant. The house was vacant.
It was vacant. Yeah,
Okay.
it was already vacant. And we contacted the servicing company and asked, can one of my other companies service us? And I said, sure. So that's exactly what we did. So we kept it up.
If that property was 1,500 miles away from you, would that have been any big deal?
No, there's plenty of services out there that can do that. It was just better. Honestly, it was a nice way to put a little extra money in our pocket. That's what it was. So because we could charge back.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
So that's really cool. I mean, yeah, it happened to be local, but people think, I mean, like we buy assets all across the United States and we got thousands of students or hundreds of students that do it all the time. And there's companies now, property preservation companies that do, they can go secure the house. They can winterize it. They can do all the stuff that needs to be done.
Yep.
It's not your boots on the ground.
Correct.
In this case, you guys put your guys' boots on the ground because it's what you do for other properties anyway, right?
Right. And it was just local. By happen chance, it happened just to be local. So,
all right. So if I've got the math right, you made about 28 grand.
Yeah, give or take.
In 6 or 8 months, right?
Correct.
Was that a fluke? I mean,
No.
It wasn't a fluke. In other words, you're saying that you see assets now that are available that says that you can duplicate this process over and over.
We plan on doing, we are actively looking for assets right now.
Well, I happen to know where you could find some of those assets.
I think you probably do. At least a couple anyway. Huh?
Yeah. All right. Well, that's a cool story. And thank you guys for that. Joe, I want Joe to come back because I want to kind of circle this back to really, Joe, a lifestyle decision. And you've become really good at getting to know these family stories within Note School, right? People making lifestyle decisions.
Absolutely. And I remember the 3-day class in Indianapolis. Jay, you were right there on that front row all 3 days. It was a really wide room, right? And so I remember you and I saw the spark in your eyes. Well, you just talked. We talked all weekend long.
We did. I was chewing your ear off, man. To be honest.
And then some time go. You guys just jumped in, right? And we met, and Kyle couldn't make it that weekend, and you brought Kyle in, and so. It's amazing to see that. It's amazing to see how you guys have grown, as a team and, the family and, Kyle's 2 little boys and all of that over the past couple of years or not couple of years, but almost 3 years now, right?
Coming up on 3
years pretty quick.
Yeah.
And, it's our pleasure. And, we have a lot of these, it's a big family. It's a big family. And, but we get to know each other as friends as well. And that's one of the things that we appreciate. Eddie appreciates, I appreciate it. And I love that Note School ecosystem as we call that. Right. And so that means a lot to you guys as well, I think. Right.
Very much so.
Very much so. It is comforting to know that if we run into a problem, I've got resources to go to who have probably already experienced this, or if not, they know where to go to get the right answer. And that you can move forward with confidence with that. That there's no reason to be holding back.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We see this non-performing note thing as a big horizon. It's not that seller financing, the other side of your business, isn't a great space.
Right.
But now all of a sudden, the non-performing notes go in cycles. We believe the next 5 years is going to be a terrific cycle. And I did your case study for a group the other day, Jay, that was they were self-directed retirement account audience, right? And so somebody behind the scenes, then they weren't being rude, but they were like, "Come on, man, that case study you did with Jay and Kyle's deal, that happened, but that's a fluke, right? That that's not really duplicatable." And I said, "No,
oh yes, it is."
Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing, and I call Jay kind of a triple threat, and Kyle as well, because Jay came in based on creative financing because you had a bunch of rentals, right? You were kind of a burnout landlord, right? And then all of a sudden you get in and you start, you buy a few notes, right? Performing notes, and then boom, you buy some, you get into the non-performing side there. And that's the growth that we see. As a matter of fact, you had 3 different case studies in the case study contest this past November, right?
That is true.
Yeah, right. So we really appreciate you guys and what you guys bring to the Note School community. And I know, Jay, you and Kyle both, you're helping the other folks out there, and it's just we're really proud of what you guys have done, and for you guys to be a part of Note School for sure. Eddie, any final words, and then I'll take us off.
Kyle, I'm gonna say something, right? My father-in-law got me in the business. I got in the business. I got my son-in-law and my 2 sons in the business. So let me issue a challenge to you, right? Go let them have all the fun in the world. Go let them chase all the adventures in the world. I'll bet you'd be surprised by the time they're 25 years old, they might come back.
Yep. Wouldn't be surprised.
Your business is worth inheriting.
It absolutely
Very
is.
much so.
Yes.
That's for darn sure. And I'll say just something real quick. My son was, I don't know, he's probably 4 years old, and I'd get the bicycle out and put him on no, he's younger than that. And we'd ride through neighborhoods looking for houses. This was back 25 years ago, right? And my son thought a drive-by was a little kid asked him one time, he says, "Do you know what a drive-by is?" And he goes, "Yeah, that's when you drive by and you look at houses," right? So it's never too young to get that 4-year-old and that 2-year-old started, Kyle, for sure.
Will do.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you, guys. You're awesome.
Thank you. It's our privilege.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, listen, that concludes this week's edition of Note School TV. And we're really happy to bring you this kind of content every week. And you've all become accustomed to that. So guys, really non-performing loans, it is a thing, right? It is going to be building. I was on a call with somebody last night and they said, "Joe, is it a tidal wave? Is it a tsunami? Or is it just kind of a big wave, just a wave that's rushing in?" I think it's number 3, right? It's that wave that's coming in, and we're going to experience this for another 2, 3, 4 years as we work all of this out. So certainly, whether it's legacy, whether it's non-performing notes, performing notes, or creative financing, guys, we want to see you at a Note School one-day class. And certainly you can find more out about that at noteschool.com/TV. Guys, as we say every week as we sign off, we will see you on the other side. Have a great week.